Welcome to Walking the Haftarah. I'm Tyler Merwin, and this is Torah portion, Pinchas. This week's Torah portion is Numbers 25:10 through 29:40, and our Haftarah this week is 1 Kings 18:46 through 19:21. Pinchas is the name of the person, also known as Phinehas in our English, who is the grandson of Aaron, the son of Eleazar. In our opening line of our portion it reads, "And Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh said to Moses, Pinchas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, has turned back my wrath from the people of Israel, and that he was jealous with my jealousy among them, so that I did not consume the people of Israel in my jealousy." Numbers 25:10 and 11. In this week's Torah portion, Pinchas is rewarded for his zeal. A new census is taken. An issue is raised by the daughters of Zelophehad. We get Moses' successor, and we get festival offerings. In our Haftarah this week, we're back with the prophet Elijah, this time fleeing from Jezebel, hearing from Adonai in the cave, and the calling of Elisha. So let's begin with a review of this week's Torah portion. Pinchas is being exalted by Adonai for his zeal in executing Zimri, the chief of the tribe of Simeon, and Cosbi, the daughter of a Midianite tribal chief, as they were in the act of idolatrous sexual immorality near the entrance of the Mishkan. Speaking of Pinchas, "Therefore say, Behold, I give to him my covenant of peace, and it shall be to him and to his descendants after him the covenant of a perpetual priesthood, because he was jealous for his God and made atonement for the people of Israel." Numbers 25:12 and 13. Pinchas is rewarded for his actions by Adonai. The zeal of Pinchas is the connection to our Haftarah, as the prophet Elijah also acted with zeal for the sake of Adonai's holiness. Adonai then tells Moses to harass the Midianites and smite them because they lured Israel into idolatry, which is known as the matter of Peor. Next, Adonai has Moses and Eleazar conduct another census, just like was conducted at the beginning of the book of Numbers, from the age of 20 all the way upward. The reasoning here is still the same as the first census, conducted some 38 years prior. They were once again about to enter the Promised Land. Chapter 26 covers the census tribe by tribe. Comparing the new census total to the original census found in Numbers chapter 1, we find that overall Israel's numbers have dropped slightly by about 1,820, which is actually less than a 0.5% drop. Their new tribal total was now 601,730. But the bigger shifts actually happened within the tribes themselves. The tribe of Manasseh had the greatest increase, adding 20,500 people, an actual 64% gain for that tribe. And the largest tribal loss was Simeon, who lost 37,100. That's a 63% decrease for Simeon. The heavier shifts in gains or losses are probably mostly due to how well the tribes did in the various incidents that occurred in their wilderness journey over the last 38 years. Those that didn't do so good probably lost more, and those that abstained from the craziness actually gained. Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh spoke to Moses, saying, "Among these the land shall be divided for inheritance according to the number of names. To a large tribe you shall give a large inheritance, and to a small tribe you shall give a small inheritance. Every tribe shall be given its inheritance in proportion to its list." Numbers 26:52 and 50 through 54. The pick of where to live was actually settled by casting lots, but the size of land that was given was in proportion to the tribe's size, another reason for the census being taken. The census of the Levites is then taken. Their numbers actually increased by 1,000 from Numbers chapter 1, and for a grand total now of 23,000. Only Caleb and Joshua were counted in both censuses, both at the beginning of Numbers and here. All the other men here were either too young or not even born yet when the first census was conducted. Next, the 5 daughters of Zelophehad bring Moses and Eleazar an issue. Their father had no sons, only daughters, so they would not have an inheritance in the land. So they asked Moses to grant them inheritance in the land on behalf of their father, since he had no heir. Moses brings this case before Adonai, who affirms the daughter's case that they should be given inheritance in the land among their family. Adonai then goes on further to clarify the laws of inheritance. Next, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh said to Moses, "Go up into the mountain of Abarim and see the land that I have given to the people of Israel. When you have seen it, you also shall be gathered to your people, as your brother Aaron was, because you rebelled against my word in the wilderness of Zin, when the congregation quarreled, failing to uphold me as holy at the waters before their eyes. These are the waters of Meribah, of Kadesh, in the wilderness of Zin." Numbers 27, verses 12 through 14. Moses, being Moses, upon hearing this, expresses his concern for the people. Moses spoke to Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, saying, "Let Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, the God of the spirits of all flesh, appoint a man over the congregation, who shall go out before them and come in before them, who shall lead them out and bring them in, that the congregation of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh may not be as sheep that have no shepherd." Numbers 27, verses 15 through 17. Yeshua also felt and expressed his compassion for the people in his day. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion for them, because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few." Matthew 9, 36 and 37. So Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh said to Moses, "Take Joshua, the son of Nun, a man in whom is the Spirit, and lay your hand upon him. Make him stand before Eleazar the priest and all the congregation, and you shall commission him in their sight. You shall invest him with some of your authority, that all the congregation of the people of Israel may obey." Numbers 27, 18 through 20. Joshua's name is the longer form of Yeshua, so they share the same name. So prophetically, the shepherd that is appointed to lead the people into the promised land is Yeshua. Moses takes Joshua and stands him before Eleazar and the whole congregation, and he's commissioned in their eyes. Chapters 28 and 29 that end our portion cover different offerings. The first thing covered is the Tamid offerings. Remember that Tamid means perpetual or continual. So this is the daily offering of the morning lamb at around 9 o'clock in the morning, and the evening lamb, which is around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. These are olah offerings, or burnt offerings, that are completely burned up on the altar. This is to be offered daily with this mincha, wheat flour offering, that is mixed with oil. And also a libation offering of wine is also included in this twice daily ritual. The rest of the offerings listed are known as musaf offerings. Musaf means additional or special offerings. The first musaf offering listed is the weekly Shabbat offerings. Next, we get to the monthly offerings for Rosh Chodesh, or New Moon. And then we get to the annual feasts, beginning, of course, with Pesach, or Passover, and matzah, or unleavened bread. Next, we get the offerings for Shavuot, which is the Feast of Weeks, or as it's called in the New Testament, Pentecost. Then we get the offerings for the Feast of Trumpets, or Rosh Hashanah, the head of the year. Next, we get the offerings for Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. Then we finally get a lengthy listing of offerings for Sukkot, or the Feast of Tabernacles, or Feast of Booths, depending on your translation. Sukkot, along with Shmini Atzeret, is 8 days in length. and there's a prescriptive set of offerings that occur each of those days. And our portion ends with, "These you shall offer to Yod-Heh-Vav at your appointed feasts, in addition to your vow offerings and your free will offerings, for your burnt offerings and for your grain offerings, and for your drink offerings and for your peace offerings." So Moses told the people of Israel everything just as Yod-Heh-Vav had commanded Moses. Numbers 29, 39, and 40. This brings us to our Haftarah this week, as we return again to the prophet Elijah in Melachim 1, or 1 Kings, 1846 through 1921. To set the stage, Elijah has just defeated the 450 prophets of Baal, which we covered back in Torah portion Ki Tisa. Then Elijah tells King Ahab that the long-awaited rain was finally to come, and when it does, Ahab drives his chariot to Jezreel. This is where we pick up our story. "And the hand of Yod-Heh-Vav was on Elijah, and he gathered up his garment and ran before Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel." 1 Kings 18:46. The hand, or power of Adonai, was surely on Elijah, as he, on foot, ran so fast as to overtake Ahab's chariot and to run before it all the way into the city. That's a great feat of strength and endurance, especially as Elijah was not known as a young man at this point. It was definitely the power of Adonai that gave him his strength. Being a footman before the king's chariot would be acting in honor of the king as kind of a herald. It's actually thought that Ahab had a renewed honor for Yod-Heh-Vav after witnessing the battle with the prophets of Baal and bringing the rain. Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done and how he had killed all the prophets with a sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah, saying, "So may the gods do to me and more also, if I do not make your life as the life of one of them by this time tomorrow." 1 Kings 19:1 and 2. Ahab tells his wife about the miraculous things that Adonai did through his prophet Elijah, but she's not a fan. Instead, she's bent on his destruction, and in doing so, she makes a vow to her gods. Then he was afraid, and he arose and ran for his life and came to Beersheba, which belongs to Judah, and left his servant there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat down under a broom tree. And he asked that he might die, saying, "It is enough. Now, O Yod-Heh-Vav, take away my life, for I am no better than my fathers." Verses 3 and 4. Elijah, now seeing his life was in danger, flees to a city under the control of the southern kingdom of Judah, out of reach, at least of the jurisdictional authority of Queen Jezebel. Elijah still wasn't feeling secure in his place of hiding, and would rather have Adonai take his life rather than some assassin of Jezebel kill him. This is also a tie into our portion, as Adonai himself would be the one to put Moses to rest in the end, just as he did with Aaron before him. And he lay down and slept under a broom tree. And behold, an angel touched him, and said to him, "Arise and eat." And he looked, and behold, there was at his head a cake baked on hot stones, and a jar of water. And he ate and drank, and lay down again. And the angel of Yod-Heh-Vav came again, a second time, and touched him, and said, "Arise and eat, for the journey is too great for you." And he arose, and ate and drank, and went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights to Horeb, to the mount of God. Verses 5 through 8. Adonai sends Elijah, his angel, to provide for him, to give him strength and the spiritual boost he would need for the journey. Adonai sends him to Mount Sinai, which is in the wilderness of Horeb. Again, supernatural strength and constitution is given to Elijah, to make the 40-day and 40-night journey with no additional provisions. There he came to a cave and lodged in it. And behold, the word of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh came to him, and said to him, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" He said, "I have been very zealous for Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, the God of hosts. For the people of Israel have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and killed your prophets with a sword. And I, even I only, am left, and they seek my life to take it away." Verses 9 and 10. Elijah telling Adonai that he has been jealous or full of zeal for him is the direct tie into our portion, as Pinchas was described in the same manner. Elijah feels that he is all alone in this fight. And he said, "Go out and stand on the mount before Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh." And behold, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh passed by, and a great strong wind tore the mountains and broke in pieces the rocks before Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. But Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. But Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. But Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh was not in the fire. And after the fire, the sound of a low whisper. Verses 11 and 12. Adonai sent many signs and wonders, but his presence was not in them. At the end, he sent him a low whisper, or still small voice, or more literally, a still thin voice. And when Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his cloak, and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. And behold, there came a voice to him, and said, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" Verse 13. When he heard the still, thin voice of the Almighty, he knew that he was in his presence, so he covered his face in reverence. Elijah is on Mount Sinai, and the cave that he is in is actually thought to be the cleft that Moses was placed in when Adonai passed by him, revealing his 13 attributes, which exemplified his great mercy. After showing Elijah that he was going to woo his people back to him using that still, thin voice instead of mighty acts of judgment, he asks Elijah again, "Why is he here?" And he said, "I have been very jealous for Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, the God of hosts. For the people of Israel have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and killed your prophets with a sword. And I, even I only, am left, and they seek my life to take it away." Verse 14. Elijah repeats what he said in verse 10, again emphasizing his zealousness, not his desire for mercy. And Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh said to him, "Go, return on your way to the wilderness of Damascus. And when you arrive, you shall anoint Hazael to be king over Syria. And Jehu, the son of Nimshi, you shall anoint to be king over Israel. And Elisha, the son of Shaphat of Abel-Meholah, you shall anoint to be the prophet in your place. And the one who escapes from the sword of Hazael shall Jehu put to death, and the one who escapes from the sword of Jehu shall Elisha put to death. Yet I will leave 7,000 in Israel, all the knees that have not bowed to Baal, and every mouth that has not kissed him." Verses 15 through 18. Elijah is sent away and given instructions to anoint Hazael as future king over Syria and Jehu as the future king over Israel. Then he is to anoint Elisha or Elisha to replace himself. Even after the coming judgment, Adonai will spare 7,000 who kept themselves pure from defilement of the multitude that would be eventual survivors. So he departed from there and found Elisha, the son of Shaphat, who was plowing with 12 yoke of oxen in front of him, and he was with the 12th. Elisha passed by him and cast his cloak upon him. And he left the oxen and ran after Elisha and said, Let me kiss my father and my mother, then I will follow you. And he said to him, Go back again, for what have I done to you? Verses 19 and 20. The 12 yoke of oxen show that Elisha came from a wealthy family. And also prophetically it shows that he will be prophesying to the 12 tribes. Elisha expresses that he would follow without delay, but if permitted, he would like to say a proper goodbye to his family, and Elijah obliges. And he returned from following him, and took the yoke of oxen, and sacrificed them, and boiled their flesh with the yokes of the oxen, and gave it to the people, and they ate. Then he arose and went after Elijah, and assisted him. Verse 21. Elisha honors Elijah and his family, then departs on his new mission. Elisha did not step out in pride, but instead he became Elijah's servant, a very Yeshua-like quality. Zeal for Adonai, like found with Pinchas and with Elijah, is an awesome thing when used in the right time and for the right reason. Pinchas stopped the plague with his spear, but he wasn't known for continually spearing sinners around the Mishkan every day. The sages see Elijah's position being turned over to Elisha because Elijah wouldn't back off his zealotry, wanting that strict justice. He desired the hellfire and brimstone as compared to the still, thin voice. Yeshua even turned over the money changers' tables in zeal, but that's not what he was known for. That wasn't his daily demeanor or character. So let's leave the hand of judgment and the hand of revenge in the hand of the Almighty, as He will wield it properly. Instead, let us keep our ears in tune with Adonai's still, thin voice. I pray this teaching has been edifying. Let's lift up the name of the Holy One with love and echad. Shalom.